You are here to listen to me give a presentation on the Book of Enoch. Scripture? Heresy? Or what? And my name is Brian Godawa, and I am the author of Chronicles of the Nephilim, which is a category bestseller on Amazon. And it's a series of novels that charts the rise and fall of the Watchers and the Nephilim through the biblical texts, told in story novel, biblical fantasy format. So it's not so much the Bible study as it is taking that material and retelling the biblical story in an exciting, novel way. But at the end of each of those novels, I give you a lot of the research that it was all based on. So it should be fascinating if you're interested. And that's why I'm here today to speak about the Book of Enoch, because not only is one of the novels called Enoch Primordial, which is based in somewhat upon that Book of Enoch, but because in my pursuit of the research for that novel series, I had to deal directly with the Book of Enoch and figure out, well, what is this book, you know? Some Christians are talking about it. I know a little bit, but I don't know much. And so what I'm going to share with you today is a little bit about what I've found and introduce you to a very exciting book that I think can open up your horizons. So let's get started talking about that, the controversy, all right? Now, the controversy basically is focused around Genesis 6, 1 through 4. And being at this conference, you are all very familiar with that chapter or paragraph, whatever, no doubt. To me, it was the weirdest chapter in the Bible for so many years. It was just so weird that I just avoided it. But now that I studied it, I realize what a key ingredient it is to understanding a lot of the storyline of the Bible. That's where it talks about how the sons of God came down from earth, mated with the daughters of men, and they had giants. And the reason why this is relevant, because the controversy is going on today within the Christian church. There are many people who have pointed out this fact, many of us teaching in this conference, who have pointed out that the supernatural interpretation of the sons of God who come from heaven and mate with the daughters of men and have Nephilim, we are arguing that those are basically angels, angelic beings from heaven, God's heavenly host, and they literally mate with human beings. It's not a metaphor or symbol. And they have giants. Nephilim, that the word Nephilim means giants. And so this is related to the seed of the serpent and the seed of Eve and all this kind of stuff. But my point is that we believe that basic supernatural interpretation, but that's not necessarily that's not the dominant view in the evangelical church today. There are other views, such as they believe that that's about the line of Seth. They believe that the sons of God is basically not divine beings from God's heavenly council, but rather they are righteous people from the line of Seth. I'm not going to argue against these today. I just want to point out why this is important for us to really deal with the Book of Enoch. Another set of Christians, very intelligent ones, believe that this chapter, Genesis 6, is about divine kingship. In other words, these sons of God is just a term for kingly rulers who fancied themselves gods, right? And they claim to be gods, but they're not. And they have their righteous line of warriors or mighty leaders and rulers. And so it's really more about them being polygamists and all this. The point is they don't believe that it's supernatural either. And of course, like I said, there's the supernatural view, which believes, no, it's about angels and giants. It definitely is. And that's the view that I take as well, and that's why I think the Book of Enoch is very important to know and to figure out how reliable is it, because the Book of Enoch very clearly supports the angels and giants interpretation. So the question is, well, but what is this Book of Enoch? Is it Scripture, or is it heresy, not to be trusted, or what is it? Well, in order to answer that question, let's take a brief survey first through Enoch in the Bible. There's not much about Enoch in the Bible, and other than in the genealogies, you know, of course he shows up in a couple of genealogies, but other than that, there's really only two places, two verses that talk about Enoch. The first is, of course, Genesis 5:24, where it says, Enoch walked with God. By the way, this is before the flood, before the days of Noah, before Noah himself was born. Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. That's kind of strange and mysterious. And most scholars think that was not means he was translated into heaven rather than dying, because everywhere else in that chapter, it talks about men dying, and then it says that Enoch was not. So they believe he was taken by God, translated into heaven. But also in the New Testament, there's a verse in Hebrews 11 that says, by faith Enoch was taken up so that he should not see death. There it's clarified for us. And he was not found because God had taken him. Now, before he was taken, he was commended as having pleased God. So the points here to remember is, Enoch walked with God. The other person that talks about walking with God is Noah. And we know Noah was righteous and pure in his generation. So there's a holiness element here, walking with God. More than just, he was a believer and he was obedient. There's a special relationship here that he walked with God. So he's so holy that God takes him before his time to die. And it also says that Enoch pleased God. So we know that that means he was a man of faith. So he's a man of faith, pleased God. But that's about it. That's about all we know. Oh no, there's a little bit more. In the letter of Jude in the New Testament, it says this. It was also about these evil blasphemers that Enoch, the seventh from Adam, prophesied, saying, "Behold, the Lord comes with 10,000s of his holy ones to execute judgment on all and to convict all the ungodly of all their deeds of ungodliness that they have committed in such an ungodly way." A lot of ungodliness there. "And of all the harsh things that ungodly sinners have spoken against him." So here we see, not only is there one more reference to Enoch, but the New Testament quotes Enoch directly. And that particular quotation is nowhere in the Old Testament. Can you guess where it is? It's in the Book of Enoch, which is what we're going to look at. So let's take a look, but quickly, just real briefly, let's just take a look at rather than exegeting this, let's just take a look at the original text in the book of 1 Enoch that we have, that Jude quotes, and see how he's quoting it. Enoch 1:9, "And behold, he cometh with 10,000 of his holy ones to execute judgment upon all, and to destroy all the ungodly, and to convict all flesh of all the works of their ungodliness which they have ungodly committed, and all the hard things which ungodly sinners have spoken against him." That's the English translation of the Ethiopian text that we have. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this later. But I just wanted to paint the picture that in the New Testament, we basically, and in the Old Testament, we get this picture that Enoch was a righteous man. He's in holy communion with God during a time of great evil before the flood, who prophesied judgment upon evildoers. And as a result of his God-pleasing faith, he was translated into heaven by God before he could die. He's a pretty mysterious, enigmatic holy man, isn't he? That's what makes the book of Enoch even more fascinating. Let's take a quick look at what the book of Enoch is that I'm actually talking about.